How are you, sir? Hey, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's over now. Yeah.
You did? Okay, great.
Pushing up buttons and something worked. And I think you're a genius. Hey, Councilman Griffin, good to see you.
Which in our case would be 4. No, that sounds about right. Well, obviously, the motion will be before it's a misapproved.
All right. All right, we about ready? Yeah, I just drove by it.
Not gonna need it.
I mean, this is.
I heard them going out when I was coming out my driveway.
Yep.
I could hear, I could hear them when they're going.
Mm-hmm. I know, where's, Larry? You ready, Larry? I will call to order the monthly meeting. Today is February 22nd. The time is now 7 p.m. for Blythewood Town Council meeting. Thank you all for coming tonight. We'll ask Ms. Cowan to conduct roll call, please. I'm here.
Present.
Oh, I'm here, sorry.
Present.
Here.
And Ms. Cowan, was notification and posting of the meeting agenda completed in accordance with state law?
No, that's not.
Thank you, ma'am.
Got one too.
Oh,
Gentlemen, before you is tonight's agenda. If it please you, I'll be looking for a motion to approve.
Can I
tonight's-
make a recommendation?
Please.
It wouldn't hurt my feelings if it stay or not, but for the length of the agenda, I think we're going to spend a little bit more time on action item 3, probably part C tonight. Can we postpone part B until next month?
The park
Unless it's
security
Yeah.
upgrades?
So I got those patches I was telling you about. I wasn't pleased with what I got back.
Okay. I mean, if that please the rest of the council.
Mr. Mayor, I'd also like to make an amendment.
Okay, go ahead.
I would like to add a discussion item number B in regards to prior SAT, LAT, and HTAX events. It's more than just, it warrants a discussion, and I believe that we should have it in regards to the South Carolina Diamond Invitational.
Okay, we are going to have a special meeting just for HTAX and ATAX.
I understand that, sir, but I think that this requires action tonight, or at least a discussion tonight.
Okay.
If council feels otherwise,
Yeah.
that's okay.
That's fine.
Can't vote for my own, right?
Well, no, you can make a motion. Yeah, sure you can.
All right, all right,
Well, let me clarify what the statements are. We're going to do a separate meeting specifically for HTAX and ATAX prior to the budget meeting. That's why I asked Councilman Brock if he could wait on that, but he sees the need to do it now, which I don't have an issue with if the council agrees with that.
I'll make a motion for that and my item piece.
Okay, so making a motion to add item B in paragraph 3, which is the prior H and ATAX for Blythewood Baseball Diamond Invitational, and to remove Part B under paragraph 4, action items, Doco Meadows Park Security Upgrades.
Second.
It's been probably motion and seconded to approve tonight's agenda as amended. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The agenda is approved. Thank you. Let's join Councilman Ballman for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance and invocation, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Y'all just join me in prayer. Our Father and our God, I just come to you this evening, Father, just giving you thanks for who you are. Father, I do thank you for the many blessings you so freely bestow upon your children. Father, I just call on your presence here tonight, and I ask that you guide and direct all that we say and do. Father, may that all that we say and do just bring honor and glory to you. In your son's name I pray. Amen.
Now we move to council members' remarks this evening. We'll start on my left. Councilman Larry Griffin.
Good evening. Just don't have very much to say since we have a long agenda. Just want to thank everybody for coming out and have a great day.
All right, thank you, sir. Councilman Sloan Griffin.
Same traffic. Great to see faces out here. Glad everyone is doing their best to stay healthy, safe. I pray that your family is likewise in the same condition. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Councilman Eddie Bowman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be brief too, the same with the expedite this meeting. I welcome everybody. Thank you for attending, and look forward to getting on with the agenda.
Councilman Donald Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple things. On February 2nd, we had, and there were multiple of us there. I know you were there, Mr. Mayor. Sloan was there, Councilman Griffin. Had the honor of attending the new BHE groundbreaking ceremony. Point of fact, it actually snowed in Blythewood that day from about 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So it was very cold and windy sitting out there for the school groundbreaking, but it was a very nice program. Dr. Kelly gave some nice words and learned a little bit about the history of Bethel-Hanbury Elementary School. On the 18th, Councilman Derek Pugh, who just walked in, hosted a town hall online to go over some of the truths and non-truths about the COVID vaccine. I highly recommend that everyone get the vaccine if you feel comfortable. And, they're going to be putting out more information through the county in regards to vaccine distribution. So thank you, Councilman Pugh, for hosting that. It was a lot of good information. Earlier today, I actually had lunch with Jeff Rubel and Tiffany Harrison to talk about the Richland County Economic Development that we have across the highway. At some point, Mr. Mayor, in the near future, I'd like to give an update on that in executive session, because I believe that would warrant that. If not, Ms. Burnett, you can counsel otherwise. But I want to stay on top of that to make sure that the council is up to date on the comings and goings of our future industrial park. One other thing, I don't know how many citizens have noticed, I've gotten several calls in regards to there's a lot of trash in and around Blythewood all over the roads. I have heard that it is a product of the pandemic. I don't necessarily buy into that, but it is starting to bother me to the point where I have noticed. And so at some point in the near future, I would like to discuss launching a Reclaim Blythewood trash pickup program where we can hopefully motivate citizens to come out maybe one Saturday a month. I'd give my kids a reason to get out from behind their screens and come out and do a little bit of community service to make our community as beautiful as it is and as we know it. So with that, I will end my remarks and thank everyone for coming. Stay safe. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Just want to, again, recognize Councilman Derek Pugh. Thank you, sir, for coming this evening. And former Mayor Bailey, sir, thank you. And thank you all for coming tonight to be here, and those of you joining us online. I'd like to start by reading a proclamation from the President of the United States, for those of you who may not know. As of this week, during the dark winter of the COVID-19 pandemic, more than 500,000 Americans have now died from the virus. That is more Americans who've died in a single year of this pandemic than World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War combined. On this solemn occasion, we reflect on their loss and their loved ones left behind. We, as a nation, must remember them so we may begin to heal, to unite, and find purpose as one nation to defeat this pandemic. In their memory, the First Lady and I will be joined by the Vice President and the Second Gentleman for a moment of silence at the White House this evening. I ask all Americans to join us as we remember more than 500,000 of our fellow Americans lost to COVID-19 and to observe a moment of silence at sunset. I also hereby order, by the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, that the flag of the United States shall be flown in half-mast, half-staff at the White House and on all public buildings and grounds, at all military posts and naval stations, and on all naval vessels of the federal government in the District of Columbia and throughout the United States and its territories and possessions until sunset, February 26, 2021. I also direct that the flag shall be flown in half-staff in the same period in the United States embassies, legations, consular office, and all other facilities abroad, offices, including all military facilities and naval vessels and stations. In witness that whereof I hereunto set my hand this 22nd day of February, year of our Lord 2021, and in the independence of the United States of America, the 245th. So in accordance with the President's guidance, I would ask us all to please join in a moment of silence. Thank you all. Okay. I misspoke in a couple of past sessions, and I want to clear the record because I try to be as honest a person as I can. We have been talking about this marketing issue for some time, and I think I erroneously spoke and made an insinuation that former administrations misspent approximately $40,000 and were misled and didn't get the bang for their buck. And I apologize for that. It was $14,000. And I am not accusing a former administration of malfeasance. As you all know, the citizens here, I was on the former administration as an elected council member. But I just want to make sure I'm not throwing mud. I'm not trying to point fingers. I'm just stating that this council takes our fiduciary responsibilities very seriously. And it was not a mistake or an error. It's just that we will be stewards of our taxpayer money and make sure that we get what we ask for, and we will hold others accountable. So if I led you all to believe that I was casting dispersions, I apologize for that, and that was not the case at all. So with that, we have a lot of business to do tonight, so we will move forward with the approval of the minutes from our meetings. Let's see. Special call meeting from January 23rd, the town council meeting of January 25th, and our special call meeting of February 1st. So gentlemen of the council, you have those minutes before you. And I will be entertaining any corrections or a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, please.
if there are immaterial changes that need to be made that do not need to be flushed out, such as like a name misspelling, that isn't something that we need to address here. Could that be something that I could address privately with Ms. Cowan?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If there was an omission or a context, a sentence taken out of context, we would need to bring that up, but if it's a spelling error, yes, sir, I would ask that you do that individually.
Mayor, if there are no other corrections, I make a motion that the minutes all be.
It's been probably motioned and seconded to approve the minutes as written, minus any minor administrative errors. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. Thank you. Okay, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to read a proclamation for Miss Eileen Sharp, the spouse of long-term Blythewood resident Larry Sharp, who passed away recently. Had an opportunity to attend her funeral and family gathering, and I would just like to stand and read this on behalf of the Sharp family. And this is from the Office of the Mayor, Brian Franklin. Eileen Brooks Sharp, proclamation, February 22nd, town of Blythewood. Whereas Eileen Brooks Sharp was born on August 4th, 1945 in Atlanta, Georgia, to the late Henry Clifford and Helen McDowell Brooks. And whereas Eileen was one of 10 children raised in a large family in Columbia, South Carolina. And whereas in 1962, Eileen met Larry Sharp, the love of her life, and the two were later married in 1965. And whereas Eileen and Larry Sharp went on to fulfill their dream of having a family, what she considered one of her greatest accomplishments. And whereas Eileen and Larry Sharp were blessed with 3 children, Christy, Laura, and Larry H. Sharp II. And whereas Eileen was affectionately known as Grandma, was a loving and devoted wife, mother, grandmother, and recent great-grandmother. And whereas Eileen always put others first, never hesitated to check on others and to send her best wishes. And whereas Eileen's faith was strong and she enjoyed her time at Trinity United Methodist Church in Blythewood, and whereas Eileen was a member of the book club and the Francis Creech Women's Circle, and whereas Eileen was the definition of the acronym JOY, Jesus, others, and yourself, which will remain a legacy instilled in her family. And whereas an opportunity was never missed to be with those she loved, whether that be at her home, on an annual beach trip, or at her beloved farm at Ridgeway. And now, therefore, I, Brian S. Franklin, Mayor of the Town of Blythewood, and Town Council members, on behalf of our community, proudly recognize Eileen Brooks Sharp on a life well lived, and hereby proclaim that today, the 22nd day of February in the year of our Lord 2021, be known throughout the town of Blythewood as Eileen Brooks Sharp Day. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my and calls to be affixed the official seal of the town of Blythewood on this day, February 22nd, 2021. Signed, Brian S. Franklin, Mayor of Blythewood. So thank you all. Now we will move to tonight's discussion items. Paragraph 3A, 2021 and 2022 budget calendar. Mr. Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have already started in gathering our potential budget items from staff, and so we've drawn up this calendar that I'd like for y'all to take a look at and see if it suits your objectives, and let me know, and we'll move forward.
Okay, gentlemen, before you use a tentative calendar, and what we do obviously annually, the bottom two, I'll bring to your attention, two lines there. We have to have a public reading twice for an annual budget. The first reading will be our May meeting, May 24th. Second reading, June 28th, before the end of the fiscal year. But in here, we've got to talk about dates that please you, that we all can accommodate and meet with the staff. And what we don't have in here, well, we have March 18th as a tentative date for meeting with the mayor to discuss H-tax and A-tax budget. And again, I know council members wanted to talk about H-tax and A-tax tonight. I made a decision based on our agenda. It was too much to do tonight because we have to go line by line like we promised the public we would. We went through, under Councilman Brock's lead, talking about a rewrite of our H-tax and A-tax application procedures. That ended the first week in February, and then now we have to go through. So instead of piecemealing it and every meeting throughout the year, we vote on things H-tax and A-tax related, we wanted to do it all at one time prior to the budget meeting. So those discretionary funding items, if you will be put into the annual budget one time and one time only. Obviously, we may have an emergency exception, and we'll entertain that as needed. But that's, so before you is a schedule on when we can meet and talk about these things. So any discussion?
I'll just let you know, all dates work for me except for May 20th,
Okay.
because I will be, well, it's all tentative. I have a cruise scheduled leaving May 15th, and I'm not so sure that's gonna happen, but
Okay.
I do have PGA tickets at Kiowa for that weekend too.
Okay.
So, and that starts on the 20th.
Gotcha.
The only question I have, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
is which events do you anticipate just you and staff versus you, staff, and other council members? Obviously, the regular town council meetings we will all be in attendance, but the only one I could see possibly like March 17th and 18th, is that just you and staff, or is that you, staff, plus another individual?
It was me and staff. I would entertain, obviously, having another council member there. If you
I'm just
would.
asking.
Yeah, I just can't
for a
have
little
two of
clarity.
you there.
Yes.
But I would actually welcome you to attend if you'd like to attend that.
That wasn't exactly what I was
Okay,
getting at,
okay,
but
I know,
I'm
yeah, I
just
know what you mean.
curious.
But yeah, it was just me to sit down to make a document, make it look reasonable to give to the rest of you. So it's a
Sure.
working session, but I would absolutely
Okay.
welcome. Yeah,
So the top three line items, you and staff, the bottom four, full council.
right.
Okay.
And then you
That's
are
fine.
also welcome, without me there, to go, after I meet with them, to go and see it yourself and talk to the staff about it. It's just, we have to comply with state law, and we can't have three of us there to establish a quorum, but two would be fine.
So I'm good with this calendar.
Okay?
I have no issues either.
I'm good with the calendar. I just have a question
sir.
about March the 18th. So just hearing you describe what March the 18th would look like, we're not to give out any money until after we go through that March the 18th from those tax funds.
Well, remember, this is, okay, yes.
Yeah,
We-
that's,
We are, based on the H and A tax applications that finished up this fiscal year. Does that make sense? So there were requests for H and A tax that led up to the new fiscal year. So some institutions had to apply twice, one for this year to finish up and one for next calendar year. But yes, if we have any on the books, and we can get Steve up if you want to talk about individual items. I'm trying to think of what did apply. No, for between now and March.
Because we approved,
Yes, and
we
that,
approved one last meeting, and that's what I'm getting at.
okay.
Are we not to approve any more programs or events in that fund balance until we go through that meeting for the
Good que-
next fiscal year?
What we voted on last year will continue to be dispersed, if that's what you're asking me.
But we voted on a new item last meeting. That's what
Okay.
I'm getting
Which
at,
is-
in between this. Yes.
Okay, right, that's, right. So that will go, if we approved it, it will be issued. That we're looking specifically at these meetings will apply to all the applications for the fiscal year beginning 1 July.
So are we still approving events in this fiscal year?
None that I know of.
Or
are
is
on
the
docket.
rodeo the last one?
That's the only one that I know of.
We'll talk about that later, because that's not the last one that came through. That's what's confusing to me. Are we cutting it off at the rodeo for this fiscal year?
No. What was the date on that one you're referring to? Yeah, I know. Which one was it? What was the date on it, though?
That was February the
No, I
5th.
mean, when is the event?
In May, May the 8th, I believe it was.
Okay. No, that we are absolutely, we can still discuss that one. The way we used to operate, we would action them as they came in, so this one needs to be action. You're right. Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
I'm fine with dates. outside
Okay,
of that.
all right.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the 2021 budget calendar
Second.
tentatively as presented.
It's been probably motioned and seconded to approve this calendar. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now we move to the new discussion item, B, prior H and A tax. Councilman Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you'll give me a moment, I'm going to pass out a handout that I brought.
And let the record show, council members have not been afforded this previously to look at, like I have requested numerous times. So do we need a moment to,
No, I can walk you through it, sir.
okay.
All right. What you have in front of you is a packet that details the activity of the South Carolina Diamond Invitational from calendar year 2019 to the present. Just to kind of give us a brief history, the Diamond Invitational came before us on November 25th, which was a Monday, to request money for the 2020 South Carolina Diamond Invitational. I have attached the agenda from that meeting. It was the meeting where Councilman Ballman and I were sworn in. I've also attached the minutes as well, where it shows that the motion to approve $20,000 for the event was passed unanimously, 4-0, from ATAX money. All right, so we all know what happened in 2020. COVID came in and shut everything down. The South Carolina High School League shut everything down. We kind of touched on this last week when we talked about the golf tournament and their ability to play part of it, and then the Friday night before the second part, they got shut down. Well, I did a little bit of research and discovered from the South Carolina Diamond Invitational Facebook page that this is how they present themselves. The high school baseball tournament is a high school baseball tournament hosted by the town of Blythewood. The South Carolina Diamond Invitational is a spring break baseball tournament hosted by Blythewood High School and the town of Blythewood. Starting in 2011, the tournament brings together some of the top teams in the state to compete in two 4-team groups. The tournament routinely features intermediate past and future state championship teams, including two state champions in 2018, Dorman and Chapin. A Facebook post dated March 16, 2020 states, and I quote, "Due to the COVID-19 cancellations and closures, the 2020 South Carolina Diamond Invitational has been canceled. We remain hopeful that all athletic contests will resume to highlight the hard work of student athletes across the state. Thank you to the many teams, families, and sponsors that were prepared to make the 2020 SCDI one of the best." That's all fine and good, no problem. So I discovered that posted 3 days ago on February 19th at 6 o'clock, "Hey, high school baseball fans, it is finally time for baseball and the 2021 SCDI schedule is complete. While things may look different this year, we know the teams will bring their best to this year's tournament. More updates are sure to come as the event draws closer, but make your plans now to support your favorite team." A couple hashtags, a baseball and a trophy. Well, I have also attached the schedule. And I noticed on the SCDI tournament schedule dated April 7th through April 10th, the locations are as follows: Lexington High School, Brooklyn Casey High School. I find that very interesting that the 2020, or 2021 rather, SCDI tournament is not happening in Blythewood. So I emailed Ms. Emery this morning.
Yeah, you mean this year?
Yes,
Right,
this year, 2021.
right, and they have not taken any money because of that. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I don't know if that statement to be true, actually.
Well, it is true.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I asked Ms. Emery, I said, on the 11th, on February 25th, 2019, council approved $20,000 for the SCDI. Unfortunately, this event was canceled in March 2020 when the SCHSL shut down all sports. That's the South Carolina High School Sports League. Can you tell me when they received their initial funding of $16,000, which would be 80%? Her response was check issued 12/4/2019. Also, did the SCDI ever return the funds granted to them? If so, how much did they return? Her response, no.
Hi, Brian. I want to provide you with the latest update on SCDI. Unfortunately, we don't have good news as our school district has not given us permission to host it. This was the worst-case scenario to have to host at schools outside of our district, but it unfortunately is the hand we are dealt. Our goal, as you know, is to have our boys playing ball. With that being said, we'll be hosting at Lexington High and Brooklyn Casey, as these schools are gracious enough to allow us. Per our agreement, I need to return the $16,000 check the town has provided us. Please let me know how to handle this return. I did not cash it for this very reason. Do you want me to shred it or return it to the office? Ms. Stephanie Cowan.
When did you get that
The
email, sir?
reply from Julie is yes, please return it.
When did you get that email, sir? That's good news.
Yes, it is. And if you would have contacted me instead of showing out here tonight, I could
I'm not
have
trying to
explained
show out,
this to
sir.
you.
As you stated earlier, we are doing we take our fiscal responsibility very seriously.
And is.
Well, I'm just curious as to when that email came across your desk, and that's
Okay,
all.
Well, Julie's on it too, so.
Okay, and great.
So I guess I don't understand your point here tonight.
Well, my point was I wanted to ensure that the $16,000 we gave for an event to be hosted in Blythewood was actually going to be returned
And I have assured
to
you
the
of that,
town.
and you doubted my assurance.
No, I'm just asking you when you
No,
received
you
that
said you didn't know
email.
if that was true.
No, I'm asking you, when did you receive that email?
I'm going to forward this all to you so you can know. Okay, any other comments, council members? February 13th at 2:12 PM.
Well, that's good.
Let's move on. Thank you. So now we move to action items tonight. Citizen testimony regarding action items. Please let me know if you'd like to speak. We will now have the first reading of ordinance 2021.002, business license amendment. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The General Assembly, try to make this brief, but General Assembly passed Act 176 in September 2020 to totally redo business licenses and streamline it across the entire state. And in effect, what it will mean is that all business licenses for all towns and counties and cities will have the same date, have the same ordinance, and what this change does is get us ready for that, because the current license is good from January 1 until December 31st, with a 3.5-month grace period to pay that amount. Now, starting on January 1st, 22, all cities and towns will have to adopt the model ordinance and move to a new calendar, which will be May 1st to April 30th as the 12-month year. So that requires a little bit of shifting, and so in order to do that, this ordinance, if approved, would extend the current 2021 business license to expire on April 30th, 2022. And then from then forward, so that'll be currently the license will be 16 months if this ordinance is approved. And then from then on, it'll be a 12 months. So this is just a fix to get us in line with the rest of the state. And just so you know, the Municipal Association has not published a model ordinance yet, but that will be coming too. So the majority of the entire ordinance, I'm just changing this one particular item. The rest of it will have a major overhaul as well, and I'll go over that in more detail. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions, council members?
It's pretty cut and dry. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
It's been probably motioned and seconded to approve ordinance 2021-002, business license amendment, first reading. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The ordinance, first reading, passes. Thank you. Now we move to the marketing RFP presentations, MPAA strategies, and Blythewood Chamber of Commerce. So let us begin with MPA strategies. And council members, if you have any questions, please ask them as we walk through the procedure. And again, it's choose one or the other, or decide not to choose, and whatever be the pleasure of the board. Again, it's choose one or the other, or decide not to choose.
To go about this, I mean, I guess we discussed this.
Well, I mean, if you don't need a presentation, we can just.
This one, in my opinion, has been discussed ad nauseum. I think
Okay.
I think it's worth noting in the public record that she did in fact receive her 501c3 status. So, from that perspective, both applicants are eligible for the 30% SAT funding.
And for the record, who is she?
She is Miss Ashley Hunter, the owner of MPA Strategies.
You can give that back to him.
Okay.
Councilman Brock.
Yes, sir.
Did we all get that email from, attorney,
Yes,
okay,
Yeah, I was
on
wondering
her,
about that.
on her 501 status?
yes.
Yes. No, I thought you
Oh.
were connecting.
I received that as well, and thank you all for including me on that. The one thing that I would notice, it said that I believe the language was she will have it, as if it's a future thing, which I don't know that that's necessarily something that would hold things up if it's coming through, but I wasn't sure from the wording that it was finalized. But you're saying,
It's my understanding that, yes, it has been finalized.
Seems like this attorney might would have included that, because it seems like a little threatening letter from another attorney. That's the way I took it.
I don't believe, Councilman Ballman, that was the intent. It was just
Attorney
to,
involved in it on the last day.
well, it was just to,
He's
Well,
advising us that we can't make that change or that requirement, because it wasn't in the initial RFP.
I could tell you from an attorney standpoint how I took issue for her to not be a 501c or a nonprofit, however she chose to do it, that he wanted before the meeting tonight for it to be on the record that he's saying he is her attorney and she is complying with that. However, there was language that it will be, so it sounds like maybe it's in the work, maybe they have the final, I don't know, but he's saying she is doing this and giving some backing up for her to be able to say, I am doing that. So far as the other part, I think that he was wanting to make the point, and as we lawyers word things, it never comes out, especially on paper, the way, if he was here. But how I read what he wrote was simply that, hey, I didn't see in the request for proposal that it was required they be a nonprofit. If you all remember, we talked about that. In fact, Mayor, I remember you saying, if they're not a nonprofit, we just have to take the money from another place, but is that what we want to do? Right. So it was an option. I don't think that she had to get that. It's just where the money would come from. I wasn't offended by the letter, but I could see reading it and not being a lawyer that I probably would have gone like, whoa, a lawyer on the last day. I really felt like what she was trying to do was make sure that she had given us something from someone besides herself saying it's being handled. I kind of feel like if it was already done, there would have been documents attached, but that doesn't mean they weren't done. They were just like me and didn't have all the time in the world to put everything together last night.
Are we ready to call for?
Go ahead.
Thank
please.
you.
Oh, I was,
For explaining that.
yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Are we ready to call for?
Well, what I'd like to do is, if council members are satisfied with everything you've seen and read, and if you're ready to make a decision, then we can just informally go down the row and see which candidate you approve of, and then we'll make a motion on the majority of whoever says. Would you like?
Mr. Mayor, for
Yes,
for
please.
clarification, Ms. Hunter just texted me that she does in fact have all her documents. So
Right, yes.
that may have been a typo in her letter, but she is in
Okay.
fact a fully formed 501c3 known as State and Frink, which I believe are 2 streets in Casey, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that.
We can go down the row and see who you're inclined to hire, and go ahead, Larry, Councilman Griffin.
Fry, have anything to say?
Okay. Well, I call on Ms. Hunter. Does she rest her case, or?
I mean, she's available to answer any questions.
Okay,
Like I
okay.
said, she's been here 3 or 4 times,
No,
sir, so I don't
understand.
know what else we
No,
could
no,
ask.
I just want to make sure they have an
Oh,
ample
absolutely.
opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just reminding you all, and this is my memory from the last meeting, was there were so many questions that were being answered by the chamber that we wanted to give the opportunity, if there were questions, for Ms. Hunter, for her to be able to be here to be questioned.
Yes, ma'am.
So tonight, my understanding is that if you all had any remaining questions for either of them, that they would be here to answer those questions.
Yes, ma'am, you are correct. Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Hunter? Anybody? Okay, any questions for the chamber? I'm sorry, did you have a question for
I
Ms.
got
Hunter?
one question for Ms. Hunter.
Okay.
Since she's been here a couple of times and she's put out a proposal, what would be her plans for marketing and branding Blythewood?
Okay. Is she on now? Hello, Ms. Hunter, are you there?
She says there's no audio.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. There we go.
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Larry Griffin has a question for you.
How you doing, Ms. Hunter?
Yeah, there's a delay.
Hey, I got a text too from people watching. We're not speaking into the mic and they can't hear us out there in the world.
I'm doing, I'm doing fine, Ms. Hunter. Ms. Hunter, I got one question. In the event that you were to get the contract, what are your ideas for branding and marketing Blythewood? Thank you.
Council members, any other comments, questions?
I'll add one more thing, Mr. Mayor. And I don't know, did any other members of council reach out to Ms. Hunter's references? I had a quick 4-question survey that I sent out. Some responses were given via telephone, some were given via email. I'm happy to share those if anybody needs them. I got responses from Mayor Tim Miles in West Columbia, the City of Casey town administrator, who is, her name is Tracy Hegler, and I got an email response from Kevin Bronson, who's the administrator for the city of Westminster. To say that her references gave glowing recommendations would be an understatement. A couple of things. Mr. Brunson in Westminster has worked for 3 different municipalities, run 3 different cities, and he has hired her at every single one of them. She's came highly recommended from all 3. A couple of things they said is that she knows government in and out. She knows what government needs. She knows how the government needs to interact with the public. She's very good with the media. She knows how to interact with the media. She's really solid on crisis management. I did ask the question, what areas could MPA improve? 2 of the 3 said her and her firm are perfectly fine. One did say that if you needed a large group of individuals, boots on the ground, such as event hosting, that might not be the firm to go with. Really, really, really positive reviews from her references. So if anybody would like to see that, I'm happy to email those to you.
Okay, any other comments? Moving to the Blythewood Chamber of Commerce, any questions for Mr. Fry?
Same question?
Mr. Fry?
Yeah.
May I repeat the question, please?
The question is, Mr. Fry, is if you were to receive the contract, what are your plans, or what would be your plans for marketing and branding the town?
I certainly have ideas as to what the branding of Blythe would be. I'm not the only resident, and I am anxious to hear from the upcoming survey, really as to what the people of Blythewood and the Blythewood neighborhoods want from their community. When this first came to my attention, first thought, I said, wow, what an undertaking. We are just completed, in the midst of COVID, a 2020 census. And I think I've alluded to before, when I was approached by census people and said, and they're given the required rhetoric that, okay, every 10 years it's this and this and this. And I said, okay, that's wonderful. Last time we had a census was in 2010. Now we're having one in 2020. The dynamics of Blythewood community has changed exponentially between 2010 and 2020. I shudder to think what it would be from the next census at 2030. So begs the question, what is it the residents, the people who have chosen Blythewood as a home, what do they want? And in thinking of that, I said, okay, first of all, why did you move to Blythewood in the first place? Why did you choose Blythewood as your home? Secondly, what is it now? What do you want it to be? Is it what you expected at this point? Thirdly, what do you want it to be in the future? Again, Councilman Griffin, I certainly have ideas of what I think, but I'm not the only one. And as I alluded to in previous presentation, was that should we be awarded the contract, there would be, in my mind, arguably, town administrator and staff, chamber director and staff, equal parts as far as the boots on the ground, an advisory committee of, arguably from elected body, that being mayor and our councilman representative and a chamber representative. I do not have all the answers. I don't even think that I would have all the answers. But certainly any idea I might have, somebody might have a better one, maybe not. We don't know. But that should be a collective thing, and that is the entire presentation that we've presented is a partnership between the chamber itself and the town to promote this town, this community. The chamber's mission is to promote and serve the businesses. The town is that of their citizens. They should coincide, and they should be coincidental to each other and one part together. And a partnership is the only way to do that. And fighting and so on is never going to get anything done. So, do I have your answer? No, sir. I think it's a collective answer amongst the town and the people who are charged to make those decisions. Is that clear enough?
Fair enough.
Any other questions, council members?
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if I understood your answer on that, and that's fine. Grants, I mean, what grants are you looking at bringing into the town from this partnership?
Grants is a whole different subject. Grant writing is a very specific issue. What is it the town wants for grants? What does the town feel that they need?
Hang on a second, I want to stay on task here for a moment.
Yes, sir.
All right. Your number one, I want to know what you think. Give me a number one, one or two grants that you would focus on. You could come up.
Yes, please.
I know
Madam
she-
Jennifer,
yeah.
Mrs. Kiefer, yes.
Yeah, she waves when I asked that. I just want to know, you know, not just a global collective group of the community. I understand that. I think either firm would do that, you or MPA would want to poll the public here to see what they think of Blythewood. I think that's a common sense approach. But I know there's tons of grants out there. And I want to know a plan. What plan do you all have in place to say we need an infrastructure grant for A, B, or C? You know, I want to know that type.
Yes, please.
My name's Chris Kiefer, KT Communications, former employee of the town of Blythewood. I gave some examples in my part of the proposal as some of the grants that I've sought for the town in the past. Those are the kind of grants that I would recommend we pursue again going forward. There are in addition other grants that are out there that, with some research and having a priority list of what the town would like to see funded, we could certainly look at those.
So, I mean, internally, outside of that, has the chamber utilized your services to write grants in the past?
Other than the example given in the proposal I gave you. And that was a joint partnership between the chamber director at the time, who was trying to get that municipal association hometown grant, and we just thought at the time, as being a staff member, it was a good way to kind of work together to possibly bring that grant money in. And the feedback on that, as I mentioned in the proposal, was the municipal association thought that grant was very well written. The issue that we ran into is the town had put up actually excess amount of matching money. So that is the only reason the town did not get that grant.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can I say a couple things since we're on the topic of grants? In your application, it states that you haven't submitted any grants since 2018,
That's correct.
okay? I'll play devil's advocate. Ms. Hunter's firm submits up to $3 million in grants every year. They have 2 certified grant writers on staff. You don't have any certified grant writers that, according to this, it doesn't state that you're a certified grant
No, and
writer.
I know of other organizations that have received
I'm not
grants.
saying it's a problem.
Okay,
I'm just
okay.
stating the things that I
Sure.
read in the application. And I kind of went here and looked at the 5-year grant funding, and the grant that you wrote for the Doco Metals Park Foundation, that's fantastic. You know, it's good that you got that one. The one in September, the one that was denied because of an overfunding, Quite frankly, I mean, that's a mistake that can't happen. If we were going to qualify for the grant, then, we should know how much money we need to put up. So, but don't blame you there. The other two, I don't really consider grants. I consider them more funding requests than grants. It states what they were for, to run the visitor center. I don't really know if you can call them grants when the ones approving the funding are also the ones receiving the funding. So I don't really consider those grants. So I would say you're 1 for 2 in your grants. You haven't really, it's not something that you're really in the weeds all the time. And one other thing, your response to, we would come to the town and find out what you need, the exact opposite is, MPA's answer is, we'll bring you the grants and show you the ones you qualify for, the ones you think that you can qualify for. So on the one hand, it looks like you're coming to us to ask us for our input, whereas it should be done, you're coming to us and saying, here's 15 grants that we think you should apply for.
That's fine. And from my approach is, it doesn't make sense to bring you 15 grants if none of them are going to meet your needs.
No, I agree. It would be your job to cull that down. But if there are 15 that do meet our needs out of thousands of grants, then it would be the grant writer's job to comb through the thousands and say, here are the 15.
Correct. And that's what I would do. I mean,
Okay.
once we know what it is you're looking for and how much money you need and how much, like in the case of a matching grant, how much money is the town have in its budget that it could put forth as matching grant money. That determines which grants you go after. Now, other people may have other approaches to that. That is the one I have learned and I have used.
This is a question for Mr. Fry on grants. It looks like your grant writing is à la carte.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So which option would actually you recommend? Option A or option B? Option A for the general public is a pay-as-you-go option where you're paying a hourly rate plus out-of-pocket expenses, whereas option B was a fixed monthly rate of $2,200 per month for 40 hours of service. Which one would you recommend?
Hourly rate or $2,200 a month for
Yeah,
fixed service?
it's on page 9. And in regards to this, is there, and this is a general question for your entire proposal, is there an exit strategy if we're unhappy with your services? For example, the proposal that was given from MPA says with 60 days written notice, you can terminate the contract. What's your exit strategy if for some reason if you were awarded the bid and then after 6 months we were like, we want to go in a different direction? Are we locked into contracts with your partners? Or can you?
No, sir, I have not been offered a contract, number one, to start with, that stated any specific time frame. So, to my knowledge, from what I've been able to read, it was, there was to be a trial period.
Okay, but once you exceed that trial period?
Then that's negotiable. If you want to make a contract for
Okay.
a time period, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years,
Okay,
5
well-
years, it doesn't matter. That's a negotiable item. That is with any sort of business. My experience in business is that contracts are negotiable, and they are for different lengths of time and for different periods and specifics.
Yes, but your counterpart has clearly stated if there's an exit, and you can't tell me that all your, well, of course, that's an easy response, but that doesn't answer my question. I guess the answer is you don't know.
What period, what is my exit strategy?
If the council is unhappy with the services that are provided, how long does it take us to get out of the contract?
Tomorrow.
Oh, 1 day?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good answer. Thank you.
I have a follow-up question. Thank you, Ms. Kiefer. I'm good on.
Yes, sir.
I have a follow-up question for you, Mr. Fry. And it's something that's been bothering me for a moment. And I know last year, we went through the whole beginning of COVID. COVID's coming up. We're pressed for how we're going to spend money here, how we're going to support events and fund these great things that we do here in Blythewood.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm rattling some months off in my head right now, and I believe it was August. I may be wrong, maybe off a month. But you all came to us for utilities and money to assist with lease for a new building. What's on my mind is about that, looking at this proposal, this very detailed proposal, you have those services in-house. Have you ever thought about using the grant services to help fund where you could have gotten that funding, $4,500? I think it ended up being, I may be off a little bit, but that you could have received through funding, through grants. Have you considered that? I'm just
Being very candid with you, when we faced that scenario, we said, what are the options of what we would do? Is there grants out there? There was none brought to mind at that specific moment. So, and that's when we made the decision to take the route that we did and ask for the town in that regard.
so
The
knowing
other option would be to go further into debt, and at that point in time, which we did have the ability to do so, if we so chose to do so. But do we want to further that and endanger our period going forward? I'm proud to say that I feel that barring any major unforeseen event, our line of credit will be more than gone by the end of this fiscal year. And we're a standalone operation from that standpoint as far as our things. And I really don't understand why, well, you asked the question then.
Well, I'm asking because, like I said, I'm giving you credit. Take the credit I'm giving you credit on this packet.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out to you several times to say, hey, get with me, show me what you guys are doing, what you set up. Holistically, because this is what I explained to you, holistically looking at, I'm open to utilizing local. I don't want this to look like, I'm not for local. I'm for local. I reached out to you for that purpose. The olive branch was out there. Show me, help me, but I'm asking that question because this raises a point to me, maybe just me up here. I was against that money last year, and I'm not going to pull back the Band-Aid too much.
Yeah.
But you have these great services under your umbrella as the chamber. And you just stated that you're going to, down the line, you're looking at maxing out on credit. This would be a great time to utilize grants coming up that may help you down the line. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm
Thank
giving you some advice. So take
Thank you.
that olive branch,
Thank you.
and not wait until it get there and show back up on this doorstep.
Well,
Thank you.
I
Thank you, Mr.
certainly
Mayor.
look at it each day to make sure and on top of all the day-to-day bank accounts, and feel very confident that where we will be, but thank you, sir.
Any other questions, comments?
I have a few more, then I'll end my time. Do you have a ballpark total cost for your proposal?
Ballpark total cost? 25,000, 28.
I'm sorry, sir, but there's no way. There's no. I
Thank
don't see
you,
that.
thank you, sir. You know what? And may I comment on that? May I, sir?
Please.
Yeah.
When this proposal was brought to me, or the scenario was brought to me for an RFP. I reached out to sources that we have, which are in attendance tonight. Here's Post and Courier, Free Times People, Midlands Media Group. I reached out to WLTX. I reached out to the local papers. And I said, okay, here's what they're looking for. And what I see in the budget is $24,900 that is remaining in this year's budget. You know what I was told? You're shooting from Mars with a thimble. So, begs the question, what is it that the town wants for a marketing program, and what is the direction that they want to do? And again, that brings me back to the questions that I asked to start with. Why? What do you want? Where do you want to be? When? And how? Why? We want to be partners with the town. And I will address this issue that, number one, each one of these, every one that I've identified in our portfolio are members in good standing with our chamber, most of which reside in our community, and or in the case of Midlands Media Group, the owner that resides in our community, have a vested interest in this town. They have been good partners. Free Times produced a wonderful Blythewood Visitors Guide, which we just received the reprint on and redistribution. It's a wonderful production. Have been wonderful partners with us. And we will continue to use them. We're using them for our promotions, for our events as we go. That is a partner relationship, and I have a good working relationship with them. I have no problems whatsoever when, in answer to your previous question, Mr. Griffin, last month, how do we know what control do we have? We are your partners working with your staff that says, these are our partners, here's what we demand, and here's the deadline that we have. I feel totally confident in the capabilities of these professionals that we partner with to partner with you.
Other questions?
I appreciate the fact that you brought up your partners. I've actually personally done business with WLTX and Midlands Media Group, and they do fantastic work. My question is, why would you limit yourself to only chamber members? There's 4 TV stations in town. There's at least 2 or 3 radio stations. There's multiple newspapers, social media. It seems to me that chamber members have an unfair advantage in competing for these dollars. Because I've done business with IS, I've done business with Watch, I've done business with iHeartMedia. It almost seems like it's pay to play. Join the chamber, you can be part of the proposal. If you're not, we won't consider you. You're missing a tremendous amount of the market by limiting yourself to 1 TV station, 1 or 2 newspapers, 1 radio station.
All right, sir. Last October, we had Oktoberfest. And in your case in point, we used 2 TV stations. We used WLTX from the digital side, and Mayor Franklin and I did an interview that was aired on WIS with their weekend edition stuff. So I don't understand your question. Number 2, I have reached out to several other radio stations. We're running with Camden radio station, which we have selected because of the market that we think that we want to target for RibFest, as well as Midlands Media Group. I have reached out to the 107.5, 101, and WCOS, and looking at price points and marketing structure as to what the target market is for me. Those are decisions we made. Just so happens that Midlands Media Group is a member. WPUB in Camden is not a member. We are utilizing them. And yes, we do give preference to chamber members because they become vested partners when we do so.
But we shouldn't as a town. We should
That's a
not
choice you
give,
make as a town. We as chamber, we have an obligation to service our businesses in the best way that we know how, and to
exactly.
make sure.
It's your fiduciary duty to put your businesses first, who are your members. I'm curious if you were to receive this contract, could you put the town, because at this point, at this price level, we should be number one.
I have put the town up front, and I have put the businesses up front. If the businesses choose to not be chamber members, I can't change that.
But you shouldn't necessarily discount them because they're not chamber members. And it clearly states that are current GBCC chamber members.
They are current, the ones that we're proposing to use here are current GBCC members.
Yeah, I
Yes, sir.
understand that, but what I'm saying is you're missing a large part of the market by limiting your scope to only GBCC members. That's what your proposal says. I'm reading your words.
Let me say this, Mr. Brock. Chamber membership is open to anyone who wishes to participate within this town. And I have been approached from the standpoint of, what is your footprint? And I say, what is your market area? Because I don't propose to ask a business that operates in Hopkins and to say that this is their target market to become chamber members here. That's missing the boat. I'll do case in point. Planet Fitness opened on Clemson Road. He asked that question. He said, what is your scope? Where's your market area? What is the end of your limits? And I said, what is your market area? I plan to market the areas of Blythewood. That is my charge as a chamber.
We're going to get nowhere. Thank you, sir.
Further questions?
I do have a few comments.
Please.
I mean, we're talking to the chamber about being number one. If we're gonna be number one, this other marketing group has a ton of clients, so are we gonna be number one? Or are we gonna be just one of many? Just like everybody else in line. So, I mean, there's no way we're not gonna be number one with anybody we choose. Because if they're working for other clients, they're number one too. So, but looking at the cost structure of all of these, I mean, what are we trying to accomplish here? The grants should be something totally different. If we're trying to do a marketing thing, marketing, it should be what we're focused on. And looking at these proposals and looking at the price structures, this could go anywhere from $21,600 a year to $58,200 a year, depending on what you do. I mean, and we're talking about a bang for our buck. I mean, Blythewood sells itself anyway. You can't find a piece of property, you can't find a house for sale in Blythewood. Everybody's moving here. If it hits the market, it sells within a week or two because of what we have to offer here. We can't host events the way we want to, so you say we're gonna market this place with this environment we're in. You know, I'm not happy with either of these proposals, to tell you the truth. Just because of the money, the cost involved. I don't see the benefit to the town of Blythewood right now. I just don't see the benefit. For us spending somewhere between $21,000 and $58,000, I don't see where the bang of the buck's coming from. So I'm not happy with either of the proposals.
Thank you, sir. Comments?
Well, Councilman Ballman, we have to spend the 30% money, whether it's $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. It's either going to go to a firm we select, or it's going to go, which it has done in the past, to the City of Columbia and their CVB. So if you're not happy with either of these proposals, that's fine, but the money's still going to go out the door, whether it goes to one of these or not. So at least here, we have an opportunity to select our own path versus given the path that Columbia has decided for us. And at this point, I think we should just make a decision and see where the chips fall.
Are we satisfied?
I'm good.
I'll make a
I could
motion.
make plenty of comments, but I'm
All
good.
right, go ahead. If you need to make a
Understand?
comment before I make a motion, go ahead.
No, make your motion.
I make a motion that we reject both of these proposals.
Do I hear a second? none, that motion fails. Comments?
I make a motion. I make a motion that we go ahead and do a vote by roll.
Do we have to name a
Well-
specific one, or can
Well,
we-
what I would recommend, if we're going to do that, not a motion, but just speak publicly which one you would choose, and then the majority, then the people in the majority would make the motion. And
Either way, I make a motion that we pick a firm. What?
please, if you have a comment, sir.
I'm Kirk Litton. I own Midlands Media Group. I own Cola Daily. I own The Dude. I own The Lake. Worked with Ashley many times. I've worked with Phil many times. I would sum this up the best I could in saying, is it inward or outbound that you're looking to do? Because my opinion is Phil's plan is the pushing the message out. This is the rebrand. So is it a new logo and new banner ads, or is it a push out? And do you want the message ongoing year round, or you want a build? I mean, Ashley and her team does a great job. I mean, they just did the KC West Columbia Chamber of Commerce is beautiful. Logos and graphics and that kind of thing. She hasn't bought a single ad for me in 9 years to advertise anything. So the question is, do you want the public to hear it and see it, or do you want to have something pretty for $30,000? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are we satisfied?
I think Larry's second.
I got a question.
Please.
Is this trial basis?
I'm sorry?
Are we still running this on trial basis?
Yes, once we discuss what the majority desires, then I would recommend the motion be put in place that Mr. Williamson and I, or an ad hoc committee be established to work with this company to establish then the contract, which will have the out clause, the performance requirements, and actually do the official contract. As opposed to voting on just these RFPs, which have some questions, if that please the council.
We back.
We can start with Councilman Brock to see what he prefers, go down the line, if that please you.
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. My recommendation would be to retain MPA strategies.
Okay. Councilman Ballman,
Greater Blythewood Chamber of Commerce.
Councilman Sloan Griffin,
MPA.
Councilman Larry Griffin,
MPA.
and my recommendation would be Blythewood Chamber of Commerce. So we have a majority. Now we will entertain motions.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to award the RFP bid to MPA Strategies with the caveat that the contract be negotiated between Mayor Franklin, Town Administrator Williamson, Attorney Ms. Burnett, and any other member that you, Mr. Mayor, feel the need to bring in.
Second.
It's been probably motion is seconded to begin contract negotiations with MPA Strategies for the marketing and advertising services for the town of Blythewood. Any further discussion?
Yes. I'm back to my question again. This 90 days, 6 months, when you start the contract?
Yeah, we can talk about that, but I would prefer 90 days, just off the cuff, just.
Yeah, I just want, I need to know that in order for me to say
I understand. I would recommend 90 days, and that way you can see what transpires in a 90-day period.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I
Please,
would
go ahead.
actually recommend to start the trial on April 1st.
Okay,
That would give us April, May, and June to close out the fiscal year.
okay.
That way we have enough opportunities to get our ducks in a row between now and then.
All right, any other discussion? So it's been probably motion and seconded to begin contract negotiations with MPA for advertising and marketing services for Blythewood to begin on the 1st of April. with an interim period for evaluation. Any further discussion?
Only, can we have a roll call vote?
Okay, and we will now call the roll. No?
No.
Yes.
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 The ayes have it. The motion passes. MPA strategy. We will begin deliberations as soon as possible. Next, we move to the discussion item D, the 2021, action item D, 2021 4th of July fireworks celebration. Mr. Hasselrock. And just for the good of the public, this is a discussion to decide if we're going to have the fireworks in the park this year or what other course of action we may take. Mr. Hasselrock.
Thank you. A couple things. I wanted to say happy Mardi Gras to everybody. Ever been to Mardi Gras? And also remember Kobe, because Kobe was left us about a year ago. So, but anyway, we need to make a decision on what we're going to do about the July 4th celebration. Charlie Miles, who owns Pioneer Pyrotechnics, local Blythewood fellow, he's done the fireworks for us for many years. He called me, July 3rd is, probably his premier day. He runs 2 or 3 crews to do fireworks throughout the state. He has 1 slot left that he's holding for us. And again, we're here to question, we're in a COVID environment. The governor still has the waiver requirement. So if we were to go forward with July 3rd event, we would have to get a waiver from South Carolina Department of Commerce. The question is, we know how many people and what the traffic flow and the people flow in the park is for the 4th of July. Some of the things, just like Phil's doing for RibFest, that we would have to explain to the Department of Commerce is how would we control people wearing masks, hand sanitizers, bathroom facilities, and the big one is social distancing. And there are so many people that come into this park. Because we are an open access park, we don't have fences. We can't keep people from coming into the park. And I just don't think there's a way that we can satisfactorily social distance 3,000 to 5,000 people in the park, which would be a requirement from the Department of Commerce. We don't really know what's going to happen with COVID. People are getting immunized. They're talking about a 4th surge. Now we have these different strains. So the question is, do we feel that we could safely have this event looking at the environment we are now, that we are in now? And one thing about the 4th of July event is a little bit different from RibFest. RibFest starts at noon, goes to 10, people come and go. It's a fluid event. With the 4th of July, everybody comes at once, basically from about 5:30 to 9:30, and they stay. They don't come and go. They don't leave. So you're talking about a tremendous amount of people in this space out here. The question is, do we feel safe? Would this be what they call a super spreader event? So that's really the question. Because we can't really control access, we can't control how many people come in here.
Councilmember comments.
Did we already pay for these fireworks?
Well, these are
were
from
paid-
We paid for last year. He still charges $7,500. I don't know what he did with last year's fireworks. Did he keep them? Did he sell them? We could, sign a contract with him, but if we cancel, then we would have to pay at least half. Another question is getting the road closed with DOT. We have to close McLean Road.
Hold on, go back. So we did pay for them, right?
For last year.
Yeah,
We paid
that's what I'm
half.
saying. We paid, but we didn't utilize that.
Right,
So-
well, we only paid half. I don't think we paid the full amount. We made a down payment.
If you pay, yeah.
So would that carry forward to this year, or will we still be on the hook for the full amount?
I'd have to ask him, would he honor it? He may have sold them or, used them for another
What
fireworks
we did
show.
last year, when we approved in the budget, if you contract and you don't use them, you have to pay half. So I think that's water under the bridge. So now but we did appropriate.
Yeah, technically, his contract say if you cancel, you have to pay half.
Okay, so we're looking at full boat.
Yeah, which
More
is
than likely.
$7,500. $7,500.
$7,500.
And the July 3rd is a Saturday, so that would obviously be a pretty busy day, potentially. So, do you think you could, I guess you answered the question, like, do you think you could keep people physically distanced? And I think the answer is no.
No, I mean, we've all been to the July 4th event. There's just hundreds of people. They stream through the Sandfield Road Gate. They come across the railroad tracks. Like I say, truthfully, I just don't know how we could satisfy the waiver requirement of social distancing for that many people. Plus all the other things. You also have the food vendor issue. You're not supposed to let people stand close in line. It's 6 feet apart to get food.
Councilman Griffin, you weren't finished, I'm sorry. You started talking.
No, it just made me, I'm good.
I mean, it is what it is. When you dedicate money to these guys and they go out and buy all these fireworks, if you don't use them,
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
We're splitting hairs here
I didn't know if he was
over.
laughing at that or something else.
No, it's
It's
just,
the way you do business.
the question we have to ask ourselves is, can this be held safely? And that's the question.
Yeah.
3750, 7500, that's immaterial in the grand scheme of things. Can we have a fireworks celebration safely? That's the question we have to ask ourselves.
And if you look, there's a lot of big events that are being canceled, like the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic and some of these others, the baseball tournament. I haven't done any research to see if anybody else is doing a July 4th fireworks shoot. There may be Saluda Shoals or somebody like that, or another state park. But in those instances, they can control how many people come into the park, and we can't.
I don't know. I mean, I think we need to really look at that. I mean, I think we give up too easy saying we can't control.
Absolutely.
I get it. I get the fact that I can cross those railroad tracks and come in this park. I get that. But you also have these gated entrances that most people that are coming in here for good reason, I mean, it's a free event, that will come through those entrance ways, that I do think that you can tick or monitor how many people are in and out of the park. It's going to take some staff, and it's going to take a little bit of effort to make sure that that happens. But I think that if we put that out, that people in cars are to walk in this way or that way, you may have a few stragglers, but I don't think you're going to have 1,000 people come across the railroad track.
Well, I beg to differ, because
Steve, I think you've made your point.
Okay.
Let the council decide.
I think we still need to do everything we can in our power to have that event. I mean, if it's within our reason and within our power, I think we need to have it.
It's, we've had, 4 or 5 events since then. Now granted, they're not as big as he thinks it will be. However, you still have the right to stay at home if you don't want to go out in public and participate in events.
And I think
I mean,
that'll happen.
I mean, if the Department of Commerce gives you the waiver, I mean, that's all you can do. I mean, fill the paperwork out. If they give the waiver, there's no, I mean, we're given that privilege to do that based on those stipulations that we have hand sanitizer. We have some face masks handy to give out. That's all that we can do, and that's all that any of us in any event, whether we're working in these state offices or normal office settings, that we do our best. And at this point, I mean, the vaccination process is going. We don't know where that number's going to be. As I talk with you all the time, I work on that side professionally. Those numbers are still looking good as they continue to go up. So all we do, I make the suggestion, I mean, just send it in. If they deny it, then we know we can't do it. If they approve
Just
it.
letting y'all speak. I'm 100% behind it, and if folks don't want to come, they don't come. Just like any other event we host.
Yeah, like I said, I'm in full agreement. I think we move forward with it and see where it goes. I think we don't postpone it now. We move forward and see if we can host it.
Well, especially since we done spent money last year and lost money. Could've-
Well, again, you can't, nobody knew COVID was gonna
So,
strike. You
so
can't-
let me ask you this then, and my colleague here just reminded me, so we do face that same possibility,
Yes, you do.
that we pay this money and then we lose it.
Well, we're making a commitment to,
Yeah.
to Charlie and to have this event, so I guess you could say yes if Department of Commerce didn't approve a waiver for
Then
the
we'd be
event.
pretty much out of the money.
Yeah, you'd be out of the money.
Now, that's crazy.
How is that crazy, Councilman?
I mean, if we pay the money, so essentially you give me 7,500, and if they deny it, I get to keep it.
Well, it's a down payment, you only have to pay half. But yeah, if they deny it, then that's true.
If we give money, Steve, if we give money to the Blythewood Historical Society for an African-American celebration event and a tornado comes through town, do you get that money back?
No.
Okay, thank you. You can't control weather, you can't control COVID. Either you decide to go forward or not, but you're not gonna have a contractor buy thousands of dollars of fireworks unless he's got some understanding that he gets a takeaway.
I get that.
I know.
I get that, and I'm not against the event, but I'm trying to make a point here. Contractually, that's crazy contractually that, I mean, I think that we should file for it. I think we should have been filed for it to see if we get approved or not before we spend that money. It will not take long to get an approval or denial letter from the Department of Commerce. 24, 48 hours, you get one. And if you don't, call me.
Well, but it's my understanding that to get the waiver, you have to have a plan in place to explain to them, this is how you're going to do social distancing for X amount of people, hand sanitizer stations, require people to wear masks, things like that.
I get that. You could submit that plan tomorrow, inform the mayor and staff in 24, 48 hours. I guarantee you by the end of the week, you'll have a letter back. And then we can make that decision. I mean, if we can make a vote contingent upon that denial letter before we spend the money.
And that's why we're here right now talking about it.
I
So
just
y'all
think
can
it would be
decide, do you want-
crazy to spend the money at the same time you push thin for the application.
Right, but what you're ridiculing here in public is last year we dedicated money because there was no COVID at the time when we did our budget. And then when it came time, we had to cancel it. But you think it's funny that we spent half that money with that vendor. You can't just take the money back from the vendor because it's no fault of his. But what you're saying is right. We're just looking for a vote here.
Get that.
We're not looking for you to try to do his job. We're just looking for you to decide, do you want the fireworks in the park or not?
Here we go again. I don't need all that extra. I'm trying to figure out, it's simple process to fill out an application
Right.
online
Right.
That's
with
what
the
I'm-
Department of
How about
Commerce.
you get with him after this and figure that out then? Because we
No,
all
he-
understand how it works.
I understand it.
Okay, do
So
you
don't-
want
I
to do the
don't- I
fireworks?
don't-
Can we get a motion to do it or not do it?
I make a motion, we do it.
Okay. And then we go forward from there. See, all we need to do as council members is give policy guidance to the staff.
Yeah, I get that.
We
And
don't
me and
need you to-
No,
we don't
and me
need
and
you to
you
do
can
his
talk
job.
afterwards.
I have
Let's
a
make
motion on the
vote.
floor.
Let's make the vote so we can talk afterwards.
I have a motion on the floor.
Second.
It's been probably motioned and seconded to do the July 4th fireworks celebration in Delco Meadows Park. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
Nope. Let's conduct roll call, Ms. Cowan, please. For the record. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
All right, thank you, ma'am. And the
Thank
ayes
you.
have it, motion passes. Thank you, Steve. Now we move to open citizen comments. Anyone wishing to speak? Councilman Pugh, comments, sir? I will remind everyone on the 13th of March, Councilman Pugh has graciously worked with Richland County Council and the Health Department and established a free COVID testing here at Doco Manor. And what are the hours for that, sir? Okay, 9 to 12, and I know it's been in the newspaper, and I just want to remind everyone here, that's a gracious attempt to keep our public safe. And we also, on that same day, later that day, we have the Rib Fest in the park. So I hope you all will make plans to come and attend. And seeing no hands for citizen comments, I'll just make one final comment as the privilege of being mayor. You can probably detect a little frustration in my voice tonight, and it's because we all work hard for the town of Blythewood, although we don't communicate well as a council. There are some things that were said tonight that could have been rectified by email, by a text message, or by a simple phone call. So my frustration is that that comes out in public. And why I tell you all this is because I view these gentlemen at this table as my family. They may not see it that way with me, that's fine. So I can take care of my family, they can take care of me privately or publicly. We can admonish one another. We will work together as a council regardless of the outcome. But I do not like it when external influences come in and attack this family without talking to me. That's why I had to open tonight with an apology, something I said before, that I was disparaging other council members of the past and other mayors of the past. That was not the intent. The intent is that we work together. You hear us up here, we argue as family does, because there's certain ways we want to do things, there's certain ways other ones of us do things. You saw another 3-2 vote tonight. That has happened many, many months since I've been mayor in 15 months, and that is a good thing. It's not bad. But the bottom line is I just want you all to realize that there's no personal animosity, at least from my point here on this council. We all love this town. We're all trying to do what's right. But if we communicate better as a family, things will get better as a town. And that's all I got to say. Any comments, any closing comments, council members, since I had my say? Okay, thank you. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. It's been probably motioned and seconded to adjourn tonight. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you.